Hey everyone, welcome back to another build in the Scale Auto Garage. Today I will be building this Round 2 reissue of the MPC Toyota Celica Supra Mark II. I've always liked these MPC kits with all the extra parts in them like flares, louvers and such. Lots of different options available for every builder. I find many of these MPC kits don't necessarily have a lot of parts, but they do have a ton of detail that can be brought out in your builds. Starting with the body, I will glue those big flares to the sides before doing any real cleanup on the body. Making sure that they fit right and are centered is important. Once they are glued into place, the insides can be ground out a little bit. Since the flares make the body quite wider, and I'm pretty sure I want the car to sit lower than stock, it is a good idea to do this now, just to be sure any future changes to the ride height aren't inhibited by inner fenders that are too wide. I will put on the additional body parts as the interior and chassis will fit without being blocked by any of these pieces. After the body is sanded and primed, I will give the entire thing a coat of white paint. I'm using Tamiya XF2 as I find it covers nicely and leaves a good solid white for your base coat. I've always liked the Toyota stripes, and after some online research, thought this would be a great way to replicate them. The kit does come with some great decals for stripes that can also be used, but I decided to go with a slightly different direction. After some intricate masking, the red base can be started. Masking flat panels is not too hard, you can seal them up pretty easily, but when you have so many different molding pieces on the body, it can make masking a bit of a nightmare. To prevent any paint bleed, you need to be sure the masking follows any depths and corners as close as possible, and the door on this one was no picnic by any stretch. Using a light touch to the red at first also helps to seal up any gaps in the tape as well. You could also do a layer of clear here to seal it up, as even if the clear does bleed, you're not going to see it. I'm using a Tamiya XF7 for the red here. After some breath holding while removing the tape, it ends up that the seal is pretty good for this one. Time to tape it all up again and start on the next color, orange. Tamiya doesn't offer a flat orange, so for this bit, I've used the X6 gloss instead. For the separation between the red and orange, a single piece of Tamiya 1mm tape is used, and I really needed to be sure it was stuck down well in the crevices to prevent any bleed. Looks like after another breath holding session, the 1mm tape did a fantastic job of sealing it up. And after another boring tape up job, time to apply the last color, XF3 yellow. I'm already days into this paint job, and this is kind of the make or break part. If the yellow gets messed up here, then it would be back to the drawing board, and that could be really disheartening. Let's hope for the best. And it looks like the yellow came out perfect. Whew, okay. Time to seal it all up with some clear and get ready for a few decals. A light gloss coat will give the decals a good surface to adhere to and will help prevent silvering on a flat surface. The decal sheet that comes with this kit is amazing. Logos, stripes, various colors and options. Surprisingly, nothing for the dashboard, but I think we can look past that. It's kind of like Round 2 knew exactly what I wanted to do and included these Supra logos that are perfect for the front and rear of the car. Thank you so much, Round 2. I give the decals ample time to dry and then give the whole body several layers of Mr. Hobby Super Clear to seal them in and give me a good surface to sand and polish out. Tamiya 3000 grit sanding sponge is my go-to when it comes to initial sanding of high spots and try to take out any paint runs or abnormalities. Once I have the whole body sanded, I will use some polishing compounds to bring out the shine. If you want to know more about my painting process, you can check out my How to Paint a Model Car guide. I'll have a link to that video at the top or in the description below. In that video, I go pretty deep into the fundamentals of what I do to finish a model car body. Once everything is sanded and polished out, it's time to mask everything off again. Only this time is for the window trim. As before, starting lightly on the airbrush trigger, a thin layer of black is put on first to help seal up the tape, and then a heavier layer can be done to get a fully coated surface. After giving it a few hours to dry, I begin to remove the tape and reveal the fully painted body. It's usually at this part that I feel a pretty huge sense of satisfaction, maybe not as much as the final set down of a completed build, but it's definitely the second best part. Now that the body has the glass installed and is essentially done, it's time to focus on the other parts of the car. The undercarriage is not so many parts, but the details are great. Everything gets a coat of black primer by Vallejo before applying various colors. Engine bits get some aluminum and the muffler gets a little bit of chrome on it, both also from Vallejo and their Metal Color series. There are plenty of details on the parts that can be hand painted in various colors before assembly. Unfortunately, on this one, somewhere between clipping the parts on painting clips and my painting booth, part of the intake went missing, and no amount of looking for it could find it anywhere. Pretty sure that's going to bite me in the ass later, but for now, must just keep building. Assembling the turbo and intake is pretty important as there's not a lot of room in the engine bay height-wise, so it's super important to have the turbo at just the right angle and the intake hose to the turbo is sitting nice and tight to the valve covers. Front and rear suspension is not a lot of parts and everything glues together nice and solid. The larger pieces have plenty of detail that can be picked out with different paints to add some depth to the underside. I ended up with some wheels from an older Fujimi kit that I thought may have more of the look I was going for and gave them a coat of gunmetal. Some brake discs from the parts box will add a little bit of detail behind the rims. The calipers on the brakes get some red paint so they're easier to see behind the wheel spokes. I then put the engine in place and give the underside a few different wash colors to bring out some more of that detail. I had a jar of acreosin. I had a jar of acreosin russet on my shelf that I've been wanting to use for some time now, and this project felt like the perfect fit. There are not too many parts to the interior, but plenty of details that can be highlighted. I had some seats from the Integra build I did not that long ago that I also felt would be a really great fit for this interior. Kind of a racing look without being an actual racing interior. I did use some baby powder in the red for the front seats, but I find I always use either too much or too little to really get the look that I'm going for. The dashboard is quite accurate and the raised details make it not too difficult to paint. Steering column and steering wheel are glued into place on the dashboard.
Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
How would they know?
I used some bare metal foil on the rear slider bars and the tie down buckles in the back, and I think they turned out looking pretty good. Seats and dashboard are glued in place and the interior is finished. Alright, now it's time to get this bad boy together. The interior is inserted first, it's a tight fit to be sure, and then the chassis is inserted. There are a few more engine bay bits that need to be put in place, such as the firewall, radiator, battery, and some hoses. And then the hood can be put into place. It feels to me that the car is sitting a little high, and I think this can be adjusted easily enough. The pegs are on a good size flat disc and can be clipped off. Then the wheel can be glued right to the disc without any issues and slightly higher into the fender to give a lowered stance. The rear is done the same way and brought down to a more respectable height. Now to finish this one off. Mirrors are glued on the outside. And then all the lenses are glued into place. Finally, a custom exhaust tip is pinned on to complete the look of this Japanese classic. I found this was a really great kit by MPC, and I'm so glad that Round 2 reissued it. It was a super fun build with tons of great detail and plenty of customization options to it. I have listed many of the tools I used in the description below. Links are to each item on Amazon. As an Amazon affiliate, I do earn a slight commission on purchases. I appreciate your support. Allison, I thank you so much for the coffee, and I thank you, the viewer, for watching my videos. If you enjoyed this one, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more videos in the Scale Auto Garage, and hit that bell notification so you're notified when new videos are uploaded. Thank you so much for watching this video. Keep building, and I hope to see you next time.